Ladies and gentlemen, we gather here today not as strangers divided by the complexities of life, but as souls bound by the shared experiences of joy, sorrow, triumph, and trial. We stand united in the reality that life, with all its beauty and unpredictability, often unfolds in ways we cannot foresee or control. We carry the weight of past mistakes, missed opportunities, and moments that slip through our fingers like grains of sand. How often have we found ourselves longing to rewrite the chapters of our lives, to undo words spoken in haste, or to relive moments we wish we had cherished more deeply? The past, with all its triumph and tragedies, remains unchangeable. We cannot turn back the hands of time, nor can we erase the scars etched upon our hearts by pain and regret. Yet, within this truth lies a profound and liberating realization. While we cannot change what has happened, we possess the power to shape what lies ahead. It is in the human spirit to stumble and fall, to face moments of darkness that threaten to consume the light within us. But the very essence of life is not defined by the mistakes we have made or the burdens we have carried. Rather, it is defined by the resilience that rises from the ashes of our failures. It is found in the courage to stand once more and press forward with renewed hope. Consider for a moment the life of a man who has endured the bitterness of betrayal, the agony of loss, or the weight of personal failure. He may look upon the past with regret, wishing he could rewrite history. But in that moment of despair, a choice emerges. A choice to either remain bound by the chains of what cannot be undone, or to embrace the gift of the present and step boldly into the future. We are not prisoners of our past. The mistakes we have made, the wounds we have suffered, and the battles we have fought do not define us. We are defined by the choices we make today, the love we extend to others, and the faith we place in a brighter tomorrow. History is filled with men and women who stumbled along the way, who faced rejection and failure, yet refused to be defined by their past. Great leaders, inventors, artists, and visionaries rose from the depths of adversity and pressed forward with unwavering determination. They understood that the past, though unchangeable, serves as a teacher, a guide that equips us with wisdom and strength to walk boldly into the future. You see, life is not measured by perfection or the absence of struggle. It is measured by the grace with which we rise after we fall. It is measured by our ability to forgive those who have wronged us, to seek forgiveness for our own shortcomings, and to extend compassion to those who are burdened by their own regrets. The truth is, my friends, that we are all imperfect beings, walking this journey of life with fragile hearts and flawed hands. But within each of us lies the capacity for growth, redemption, and transformation. We must not allow the shadows of yesterday to steal the light of today. For though we cannot rewrite the past, we have been given the gift of the present, a moment in which we can choose to love more deeply, serve more selflessly, and live more purposefully. Some of you here today may be carrying the weight of broken relationships, missed opportunities, or unfulfilled dreams. You may feel trapped by the decisions you made or the words you wish you could take back. But hear me when I say this: you are not bound by your past. You are not defined by your failures. The grace of a new beginning awaits you if only you would reach out and embrace it. It is never too late to reconcile with those you have wronged. It is never too late to pursue the dreams that once burned within your soul. It is never too late to extend kindness to a stranger or to offer a helping hand to someone in need. The power to create beauty from the ashes of yesterday lies within you. I think of the farmer who plants seeds in the ground, knowing full well that storms may come and drought may threaten the harvest. Yet he presses on, for he understands that the soil responds not to what happened yesterday, but to the care and effort he invests today. So it is with our lives. The future is not shaped by the mistakes of our past, but by the choices we make in the present. We cannot change what has happened, but we can choose to forgive. We can choose to love. We can choose to stand up and press forward when life knocks us down. And let us not forget the burdens we carry were never meant to be carried alone. There is a divine strength available to those who seek it, a strength that lifts the weary heart and restores the broken spirit. When we humble ourselves and acknowledge our need for guidance, Grace is extended to us from above. The world is filled with those who have allowed their past to define them, to limit their dreams and dim their hope. But you, my friends, have the power to rise above. You have the power to walk forward in faith, to embrace the possibilities of tomorrow, and to leave a legacy of love, compassion, and hope for those who come after you. So let us not be held captive by the shadows of what we cannot change. Let us fix our eyes on the horizon before us, pressing forward with courage and conviction. For though the past may be unchangeable, the future remains unwritten, waiting for the hands of those who dare to believe that beauty can be born from brokenness and that redemption is possible for all who seek it. And so, my friends, I urge you, forgive those who have wronged you. Seek forgiveness where you have fallen short. Love without condition. Serve without expectation. And live each day with the unwavering belief that the best is yet to come. For the future does not belong to those who dwell in regret, but to those who embrace the promise of a new day with hearts full of faith and hope. We must remind ourselves that the road ahead is not without trials and tribulations. There will be moments when fear whispers that we are incapable of rising above the mistakes of our past. There will be voices both within and around us that attempt to chain us to the failures and wounds of yesterday. But we must reject these voices, for they do not speak the truth of who we are or who we can become. Life is not defined by the darkness of our missteps, but by the light that shines through our willingness to change, to grow, and to press on with unwavering faith. We are called not to perfection, but to persevere. We are called not to live without error, but to rise with humility when we stumble. Consider the oak tree that stands tall and unshaken by the storm. It was once a fragile seed, buried in darkness, struggling to push through the soil. Yet with time, patience, and the nourishment of the earth, it grew strong and mighty. So it is with our souls. We may begin in brokenness, but through the grace of perseverance and the light of hope, we are strengthened and renewed. We must understand that healing and redemption are not found in dwelling on the past, but in the choices we make today. Every sunrise brings with it a new opportunity, an opportunity to love, to forgive, to build, and to dream. The pages of tomorrow's story remain unwritten, and we hold the pen in our hands. It is true that we cannot erase the words already written on the pages of our past, but we can turn the page, we can begin anew. And the beauty of life is that every step forward, no matter how small, has the power to change the trajectory of our future. I think of the man who has wronged his brother and carries the weight of guilt upon his heart. Though he cannot change the words spoken in anger or the actions that cause pain, he can humble himself and seek forgiveness. And in doing so, he opens the door to healing and reconciliation. I think of the woman who has suffered loss and heartache, who feels as though joy has been stolen from her life. Though she cannot change the events that brought her sorrow, she can choose to embrace the present moment with gratitude and open her heart to the love and joy that still surrounds her. I think of the young soul who has made poor choices, who feels unworthy of redemption and trapped by the mistakes of the past. Though he cannot undo those choices, he can choose today to walk a different path, a path of integrity, compassion, and purpose. My friends, the beauty of life is that every moment is an opportunity to begin again. The world would have us believe that our identity is bound to our failures, that we are forever defined by the worst moments of our lives. But this is a lie. We are not defined by what we have done, but by who we are becoming. Let me ask you this. When a sculptor looks upon a block of marble, does he see only a cold, lifeless stone? No. He sees the masterpiece hidden within. With each careful strike of the chisel, he removes the unnecessary, revealing the beauty that lies beneath. So it is with us. Our past may be filled with moments of weakness and imperfection, but with each act of kindness, each moment of forgiveness, and each step of faith, we are being refined and shaped into something far greater than we ever imagined. Do not let the enemy of your soul convince you that your past disqualifies you from living a life of purpose and joy. Do not allow the fear of failure to keep you from pursuing the dreams that burn within your heart. For there is a higher power that delights in taking what was broken and making it whole. There is a grace that lifts the fallen and breathes life into the weary soul. You see, the very struggles we seek to escape are often the very tools that shape us into vessels of compassion and strength. The pain we endure gives us the capacity to comfort others. The failures we experience teach us humility and wisdom, and the moments of darkness we face allow us to better appreciate the beauty of the light. Therefore, let us not shrink back in fear or regret. Let us press on with courage and conviction, knowing that the road ahead is filled with endless possibilities. If you have been wronged, forgive. If you have wronged another, seek reconciliation. If you have fallen, rise again. If you have lost hope, reach out to the one who restores and renews. We cannot change the past, but we can choose to let it refine us rather than define us. We can choose to allow the trials of yesterday to strengthen our faith, deepen our compassion, and ignite our passion for the future. And let us not forget that the greatest victories often come from the most difficult battles. The most beautiful testimonies are born from the deepest trials, and the most extraordinary lives are lived by those who refuse to be bound by the mistakes of yesterday. The chapters that lie ahead are yet to be written, and the author of life has placed the pen in your hands. What will you choose to write? Will you allow the bitterness of past failures to cloud your vision for tomorrow? Or will you step forward in faith, believing that beauty can rise from the ashes of your pain? There is a profound truth that echoes through the corridors of time. Redemption is possible for all who seek it. No soul is too lost, no heart too broken, and no life too shattered that it cannot be restored and renewed. Think of the prodigal son who squandered his inheritance and brought shame upon his family. He could not undo the reckless choices that led him astray. Yet when he humbled himself and returned home, he was met not with condemnation, but with open arms and unconditional love. His past was forgiven, and his future was restored. So it is with us. There are those among us today who carry the heavy burden of guilt and shame. Some have been wounded by others, while others have inflicted wounds upon themselves through poor choices and missed opportunities. But hear me when I say this: there is hope, there is healing, and there is a future that is not bound by the mistakes of yesterday. You may have failed in your marriage. You may have made choices that caused harm to others. You may have let fear keep you from pursuing your dreams. But you are not defined by those moments. You are defined by the love that still burns within your heart. You are defined by your capacity to forgive and be forgiven. You are defined by your willingness to rise up from the dust and walk forward in faith. Some of you may be saying, "But I am too far gone. I have wasted too many years. I have caused too much hurt." But I tell you this: it is never too late for a new beginning. The great composer Ludwig van Beethoven lost his hearing at the height of his career. What could be more devastating for a musician? Yet rather than surrender to despair, he pressed on and composed some of the most beautiful symphonies the world has ever known. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb, yet he famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Abraham Lincoln faced repeated political defeat before becoming one of the most beloved and influential leaders in history. What do these men have in common? They refused to be defined by their failures. They understood that the past could not be changed, but the future was still theirs to shape. And the same is true for you. Do not allow the voices of doubt and fear to hold you captive. Do not let the mistakes of yesterday rob you of the joy that is waiting for you today. You have the power to mend broken relationships. You have the power to extend kindness to those who are hurting. You have the power to pursue the dreams that have long been buried within your soul. And above all, you have the power to forgive, not only others but yourself. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks the prison of regret. It frees us from the chains of bitterness and allows us to walk in peace and joy. When we forgive, we are not denying the pain we have experienced. We are choosing to release that pain and make room for healing. And when we forgive ourselves, we are acknowledging that we are human, flawed and imperfect, yet still worthy of love and grace. You see, the enemy of your soul would have you believe that you are trapped by your past, that your mistakes are too great, your failures too numerous, and your wounds too deep. But I tell you this, the God who formed you in your mother's womb and breathed life into your soul is not finished with you yet. He is a God of restoration, a God of second chances, a God who takes the broken pieces of our lives and creates something beautiful. And when we surrender our brokenness to Him, He does what we cannot. He redeems, He restores, He renews. So today I urge you, let go of the bitterness that binds you, release the guilt that weighs you down, forgive those who have wronged you, and embrace the truth that your best days are not behind you, they are before you. For the future belongs not to those who dwell in regret, but to those who walk forward in faith. You cannot change what happened, but you can choose to change what happens next. You can choose to love again. You can choose to dream again. You can choose to live with purpose and passion, knowing that every step forward brings you closer to the life you were created to live. And as you walk this path, know this, you do not walk alone. There is one who walks beside you, who strengthens you when you are weak, who lifts you when you fall, and who calls you by name. He has not given up on you, He has not forgotten you, and He is waiting with open arms to lead you into a future filled with hope and promise. So rise up, my friends, shake off the chains of regret, step into the light of a new day, and let the world see what happens when a heart refuses to be defined by the past and dares to embrace the limitless possibilities of tomorrow. The world is waiting for you. The future is calling your name, and the best is yet to come. My friends, I speak to you not as one who has never stumbled, nor as one who has not felt the sting of regret. I speak as one who understands the weight of human frailty, the burden of lost time, and the sorrow of missed opportunities. But I also speak as one who has witnessed the incredible power of redemption, the beauty of grace, and the strength that comes when a soul chooses to rise again. I know there are those among us who have walked through valleys so dark that hope seemed but a distant memory. Some have been betrayed by those they trusted. Others have suffered loss that words cannot describe. Still, others bear the scars of their own poor decisions that have hurt others and shattered their own hearts. But hear me when I say this. There is no valley too deep, no mistake too great, and no wound too severe, that it cannot be touched by the healing hand of grace. The pages of history are filled with those who overcame the brokenness of their past to live lives of extraordinary purpose. Moses was a man who fled into the wilderness after taking the life of another. Yet when he surrendered to the call of a higher purpose, he became the one who led his people to freedom. David, a man who committed grievous sins, found redemption and became known as a man after God's own heart. The Apostle Paul, once a persecutor of believers, was transformed into one of the greatest voices of truth and grace the world has ever known. These were not perfect men. They were men who had fallen, who had failed, and who had known the sting of regret. But they refused to let their past define them. They chose to surrender their brokenness and step into the purpose for which they were created. And that same opportunity lies before each and every one of us today. It does not matter how far you have strayed. It does not matter how many wrong turns you have taken or how many doors you believe have closed. What matters is the choice you make today. Will you allow the failures of yesterday to keep you bound in fear and shame? Or will you lift your eyes to the horizon and embrace the promise of a new beginning? You see, the enemy of your soul wants you to believe that your story is over, that your mistakes have disqualified you from living a life of purpose and joy. But that is a lie. Your story is not over. In fact, some of the most beautiful chapters are yet to be written. For the God who created you, the God who breathed life into your very being, is a God of restoration. He delights in taking what the world deems broken and turning it into something beautiful. He takes the ashes of our failures and turns them into testimonies of hope. But we must be willing to release the past and step into the future with faith. We must be willing to forgive those who have hurt us, not because they deserve it, but because forgiveness frees our own hearts from the prison of bitterness. We must be willing to seek forgiveness from those we have wronged, for true humility opens the door to reconciliation and healing. And we must be willing to forgive ourselves, to stop punishing ourselves for the mistakes we cannot undo, and instead choose to walk in the grace that has been freely offered to us. Some of you have been carrying burdens for far too long. You've allowed the pain of the past to rob you of the joy that is available to you today. But today is a new day. Today you can lay those burdens down. You cannot change what happened, but you can choose to release the bitterness and embrace the beauty of this moment. You cannot undo the words spoken in anger, but you can choose to speak words of kindness and love from this day forward. You cannot relive the opportunities you missed, but you can seize the opportunities that lie before you now. For as long as there is breath in your lungs, there is hope. And the one who created you, who knows your every weakness and sees your every tear, stands ready to guide you into a future filled with purpose, peace, and joy. So I ask you today, what will you choose? Will you choose to remain bound by the chains of regret and shame? Or will you choose to rise, to forgive, to love, and to press forward with faith and courage? The world is in desperate need of men and women who refuse to be defined by their past and who dare to believe that the best is yet to come. There are people in your life who need your love. There are hearts that need your compassion. There are dreams that need to be pursued, lives that need to be touched, and legacies that need to be built. And it all begins with one decision: the decision to let go of what you cannot change and embrace the limitless possibilities that lie ahead. You cannot change what happened, but you can change how you respond. You can choose faith over fear. You can choose hope over despair. You can choose forgiveness over bitterness. And you can choose to step into the future with a heart that believes that the one who holds the universe in his hands is also holding your life, guiding your steps and leading you to something far greater than you could ever imagine. So rise up, my friends, step out of the shadows of regret and into the light of grace. Lift your eyes from the failures of yesterday and fix them on the hope of tomorrow. For the story is not over. The final chapter has not yet been written, and the best is yet to come.